Morning, everybody. This is my first time in Mexico. I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese, but I will try to speak in English. I understand Spanish, but I cannot talk because there are some different words, and I am confused. Okay, my name is Baklizky. I've been working with development system for almost 40 years, and with measurement for 20 years. My company is Ltda MÉTRICAS in Brazil, and we have 28 regular clients, and you working with measurement, training people. I am member of MPC, Cosmic MPC, and I am member of the FSSC, IFPUG FSC, like MPC. In Brazil, we have using metrics for 20 years. And traditionally, we will use function point, IFPUG function point, because at the beginning of the century, they started using function point. The government used function point by law. Then it's not an option for Ltda MÉTRICAS. It's what the clients needed. But I will talk about Agile and FSM methods because FSM, functional sizing, ISO, it's equal. The interpretation, it's the equal. The results could be others, but the way to do the things is very similar. When Agile started in Brazil, the first thing that people said, I hate function point. It's not necessary measure in Agile. Please, don't talk to me about this. Then we said, okay. We have 80 employees, and people said to me, what I will get fired? Don't worry. I am in development for that time, 35 years. I saw lots of methodology, like waterfall, like rational unified process. Don't worry. It will be necessary in a moment. Okay. Our agenda is the dilemma, Agile developer or function point. The America's experience in 2017. How has this been adopted in Brazilian market? How are you using function point with Agile in Brazil? What benefits were obtained from measurement? Did the max analyst job change? Are story points incompatible with function points? What about 2018? Now. Okay, my project is Agile. Can't it be measuring function points? The first declaration, the first observation. All FSM methods represent agnostic techniques in relation to technology, methodology. Then, what's the reason for the dilemma? the companies produce, deliver software for an user. Since we have an user, we have a scope. And if you have a scope, we have requirements. Functional requirements and non-functional requirements, but we have requirements. In Agile mindset, they are interested in a time box. Okay, what I will do in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, okay? But 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever weeks, we have to deliver a product. So, in 2000s, the majority of projects either did not deliver as promised, I am talking about Brazil, or delivered after cost under schedule overruns. Because the time to mark, it is necessary time to mark. So the Agile mindset is necessary. And a matter of max survival, we have to deliver things fast, with quality, and get the changes and continue delivering. It tends to be in this way. Year by year is going up the companies using this methodology. In Brazil, our clients started using in 2012, 2 companies. Today, 28 companies are using Agile development methodology. So, it's why function point is applicable in development, in Agile development. Because we have a sprint backlog. A sprint backlog, it's a set of functionalities that we have that the team assume to develop in that time. And we have this model, this example is Scrum. Scrum in Brazil, is the majority of companies using Scrum, are using Scrum. And they working with 3 or 2, from 2 up 4 weeks and deliver things. Deliver no functionality, no functionalities. They used to define the functionality they are developing in a sprint by user stories. An amount of user stories are prioritized and for working in 2 or 4 weeks. The teams are composed for 5 up 9 people, normally 5 up 9 people, and they have a Scrum Master who organize people and guarantee the Scrum has been followed. And they have a PO, project owner, and the team has system analysis, business analysis, and testers, a small team, 5 to up to 9. And they are working to deliver something to the final user. They used to say, a deliverable potentially useful. So we have functionality. If you have functionality for one sprint, I know the scope. I am able to estimate the size after when the sprints are complete, the work was done, we have the real functionality delivered. So function points are applicable to agile development. ISMA, cosmic function point, NESMA function point, IF bug function point, FSM function point, okay, whatever. Because we are measuring what was delivered. So now in Brazil, because of the protocols, government protocols, governance, they are using a hybrid agile approach. Some people said that they are using agile, but in most of cases, in the majority of the cases, they are escaping from measuring by a waterfall model. Oh, I am in agile. And you did not are practicing agile because you don't have the necessary attributes to demonstrate that you are using agile. Now I will talking about our experience. There are 5 cases in my presentation. There are lots of, but I selected for this conference 5 examples, real cases for our clients, where I am trying to show you the benefits in using measurement process. The first case is a client from the finance industry. And they are developing a new, innovative, and disruptive product. It was an app from a bank, digital bank. This is case. They are adopting of agile methods, hybrid approach. Each product model is still understood as an individual project. It's not a good practice because agile preconizes the backlog. I prioritize backlog. On backlog, they are talking about projects. Okay. Uses Scrum, practice, and management tools such as Jira and Confluence, two tools. All companies are using a tool to implement Agile. Some tool. Function. What did we do? We measure function point of each project during the planning phase to check the software factory's proposal, because in this case it was an app, and the functionality was knowledge, and the software factory, Fábrica de Software. The software factory's proposal amount of person and the hours and the cost. After the measurement, we compare with our national benchmark, the other companies that are similar, and we demonstrated that the amount of hours is higher than the confidence interval. We use regression, statistical regression, and it's all far from the limits. So, what the company did, they negotiate with the vendor, and they select more functionalities, and after that, and they saving approximately 10%. The amount of money do not change, but the amount of functionality, I was delivering more. I was able to deliver, they were able to deliver more. This is the first benefit. You can manage the cost, the effort, the functionality. We can put more histories, user histories in a sprint, in a release. We can be more productivity. The second case is a finance industry too. We have historical data, and the company needs to estimate 2008 budget. How I said before, the model was hybrid too. Function point measurement based on the features. They separate in journeys, and we measure the features. A journey was composed by some features. So we simplify, because there is in a high level, very high level, we use a way to estimate the size, with a simplification, defining topics as data functions. In function point, data functions are the logical files, and the sub-process as elementary process, transactions. So we identify and estimate the amount of data and amount of functions. And this graph presents each journey and the amount of function points of the journey and the amount of features. A budget of approximately, there is a zero more, 380,000 work hours was estimated, consider all planned journeys. This year, they are managing these numbers. They are dealing with the risk, dealing with the cost, dealing with the effort, and try to do more with minus. More with minus, because now people got knowledge, and they are working together for more than a year. Experience, they got experience. The third case, I will talk. Has the metrics analyst job changed? I told that I said before, the companies are using Jira or Confluence. So now we have to, a metric analyst have to look for inputs rather than documentation, because in Brazil, we don't have functional specification. We have the requirements in a tool like Jira, in the enterprise architect, something like that. But they are requirements, they are user stories, they implement in a tool, in tools. So we have to understand the structure and got the information and analyze the information, immersion in analysis meetings and product backlog prioritization, and has a better balance between documentation analysis and meeting with business analysis. So there is always at least one metric analyst dealing with the teams and coaching, explaining what is the better way to put these things together to demonstrate to a user what they are producing, because sometimes they select some user stories that are not represent a real functionality, only a piece, and in my opinion, metric analysts help them to define better the requirements of the user stories, because there are bad user stories too, like bad requirements. So the presence of a metrics analyst help them. At the beginning, they hate us. Now please help me. Can you help me with this? Can you? Because I need to deliver this functionality, and this functionality have lots of stories, and the team help them. Normally, we are in a team called productivity, and they ask for help. Here we have a client for insurance industry. I talk about the presence of the change mind of the metrics analyst, because this client, for digital transformation projects, were function point measured from March to August. Typical, this project is a typical agile practice were adopted with a multidisciplinary team, including a Scrum Master, a product owner, 100% on site with 2-week sprints. Presence of a product manager in order to get scalability. Measurement at the sprint level based on user stories. The results made it possible to assess the performance of each sprint inside each project, and to compare each project to the overall performance of all projects based on the same approach. So here we are measuring this example is to illustrate, is illustrating the performance, analyzing the performance. So here we have sprints, sprint 1 up to 5. And the sprint performance of this project stayed within the limits identified by internal benchmark studies. In this project, the fourth level is spent in test quality assurance, mainly from sprint 3 on, had a negative effect on productivity. As a result, an action plan was created to determine the levels of test automation needed to reduce execution effort. So the productivity was no good because of the quality tests. They take an action planning. Are story points incompatible with function points? The previous study showed that it's possible to compare results between different projects and sprints using function points, using whatever functional size method. Story points represent a relative measure of size. Work within a specific project context, since they quantify the view of the team, and the companies needed the view of the company, the view of the organization, the view of the release. Another view, the view of what's the meaning for the organization, what that means for the organization. So story points must be used at the level of team. Compare team with him. But we are talking about something that show the result for the strategic decision to make decisions. When the goal is to support governance, the utilization of function points allows to comparative analyze multiple distinct contexts. Here we have a client from finance industry. We are working with this client for 2 years. There was a measuring process. The productivity was established with vendor in contracts, and there was another group of persons, another manager using agile development. So they told us, I don't need metrics at all. I know what I am doing. I don't need. Okay, we continue with the waterfall directory. So the two areas join, and I will get fired because the other one hate measure. They have your own metrics. Okay. So we have access to Jira. And I talked to my team, what about if we have access to data and access to deliverable and access to Jira. What about we make an exercise? We will be fired. Okay, so we have a meeting, and this person, I'd like to understand what IT METRICAS doing here, and I explain the process, what are we doing. This manager was the digital transformation and using development, agile development, and join to waterfall because waterfall will be fight. They will migrate to agile model. Okay, so I told you, do you know your productivity? I am studying, I'm studying. But I know your productivity. So can I show you? Oh, yes, please. I show them. And then he said to me, how many sprints do you consider? I told him, 27. A project sample. What if you measure 200 sprints? I'm going to vacation, and after that, can you measure 200 sprints and show me the results? Oh, okay. Do you have capacity? Oh, yes. Then you do this, and you show to him the framework adopted is based on Spotify model, another framework for scaled agile, because this company are working in a scaled agile model. Squads, tribes, chapters, guilds, combined with SAFe. SAFe is another framework. Spotify, some companies use Spotify, other companies less, based on Scrum and SAFe. The strong integration between teams and based on the store definition extract from Jira. Okay. Here is the result from the first 27 sprints. The data from this analysis showed that the general performance of project sprint should be worse than the average median of the national market. Client data, market data. Can you compare? Agile development methodology based on IFPUG CPM version 4 or later, functional sizer until 140 function points, data from financial organization. This is the benchmark. The regression model includes a constant equal 37800 for each project. Once the constant is removed, project performance becomes compatible with market data. The manager was crazy. I need this, please show me more. And we are in a regular service, no? And we measure almost 300 sprints a month. And there are lots of initiatives because we are studying what happened about non-functional requirements, about knowledge and reuse, rework, enhancement, whatever. This manager are making presentation like that, like mine, with his data, and two other countries. Now, 95% of the company that's in Brazil migrates to Agile model. It's a case in Brazil, this company. Here we have the average team size, and is independent for the functional size. Here is the distribution. And the other one is the minimum duration of a sprint is 7. It's some example what we can obtain, get from the data. Quickly, that company produced a book, and now they are implementing to show the results in a tool, like Tableau, something like that. Because of the useful result obtained, the client asked that time, asked MÉTRICAS for a 3-month extension of this work. Great, because the presentation is about the 2017, where new project sprint sample will be analyzed, and new findings will support the IT governance area in the decision to extend the Agile approach to more projects. It's the scenario in the last year. This company is one of the biggest government bank. Development of a mobile front end, another. On Agile team applies Scrum concept. Sprint duration varying between 2 and 4 weeks. Software factory compensation based on function points at the end of each sprint. Input obtained for use cases. This company use case. Here, the function point size of the final, this was a disaster. The functional size of the final product of 7 sprints was 116 function points with 14 transaction functions and 6 data functions, data and functions, a total of 20 functions. 13 of the 20 measured functions, 65% of the total, were paid for more than once along the product's development. Because they do not consider the advantage of use Agile model, because we can get the changes, but you can be some rework too. The productivity on a sprint is different from productivity a release, because you're working enhancements. How to compensate Agile projects in function points? Client view. Compensate for complexity function when all the elements of business rules, data, entities, and files are contained in said function. And sprint by iteration until the function is complete, not economically viable for a software factories. Software factory view. Compensation per sprint provides a constant cash flow function paid for n times economic cost for the client. It's necessary to balance the needs of both parties, client and suppliers, when create the contract. For example, using specific deflators to deal with functional refinement. This company is rethinking how they will implement function points and how they will implement measure in Agile. Now they are working with the capacity, the amount of people, the effort, based on the historical of productivity, how amount of functionality will be delivered, to an assignment about this kind of thing, because this model did not work for them. We should estimate, measure, use Scrum. Yeah, you can. You can estimate in effort, velocity, and size at the beginning, considering the backlog, product backlog, and we can get the final size, productivity, and velocity. Like in the waterfall model, it's possible. In Kanban, it's the same. What about 2008 year? Case 1 and 2, clients from the finance industry, continuous service, supplier proposal analysis, and 218 performance assessment to define delivery goals for 2019. Here in these clients, we are collecting this year data about non-functional requirements and how they can impact the productivity and how dealing with this kind of thing. Case 3, client for insurance industry, improvement action based on the analysis of productivity indicators, velocity, sprint complexity. Sprint complexity is the non-functional requirements analyzed. The facts and the ability to respond to user functional requirement evolution. Case 4, client for the finance industry. As of January, an organization productivity team was created to function point measure all deliveries, track indicators, velocity, productivity, defects, maintain the historic database, and estimate productivity capacity for 219. We have now more than 1,000 sprints measured, almost 2,000. We get information about team because they are in the same place. It's a building with lots of persons, and we get the information about the effort, about the defects, and we are maintained in a historical database. Increased number of requests from clients interested in demonstrating and communicating results obtained with agile methods in a standardized way. Clients from telecom, we have three new clients this year. 2 from telecom, 1 from entertainment, telecom, entertainment, and retail. Retail is new, totally new for us, like e-commerce and shoes, something like that. So thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Bueno, agradecemos mucho a Diana Baklizky por su conferencia. Un aplauso, por favor.